Hey everyone out there in Coursera world. It's Shalom again, and I want to play with solving the diet problem that we just discussed. All right. Um, so let's see. So I showed you this a little bit. Okay. So here's your list of foods, the first column. So as you can see, we have 64 foods items. Okay, starting with broccoli down to some type of bean bacon soup, maybe. Looks like it. Cream mushroom soup, so on. Okay, and then we have the 12. I think we counted 12 or 11 nutrients that we need. All right, and then of course we have the list of minimum and maximum daily allowance or daily suggested requirements for each of those nutrients. All right, so as we said, we want to minimize, and here's cost per serving. Of course, that again is an important column. And what we want to do is we want to get within the ranges for all the nutrients, and then but we want to find the cheapest meal. Now, of course, what we're talking about, since this is a daily allowance of data, when I say a meal, really we're finding a single meal for the whole day, which is not quite, something that you're going to want to eat, but it's a good first run on simulating the linear program or solving the linear program. Okay, so a couple things we need to do. First thing, we need to make a table or a column of variables of the number of servings of each food. So it could be 0, so I'm going to write number of servings. And it could be decimals, all right? So I'm going to leave it blank, but let's just assume right now it's 0 of everything, and we'll let the solver take care of this, okay? And then our solver is going to need a cost function to minimize. So the cost, all right, is actually going to be equal to the serving times the number of servings times the cost of the serving, right? Plus, for the next food, the number of or I should say the number of servings times the cost of that. All right, so on and so on. Now, of course, if we have 0 of broccoli, then what we'll have is 0 times that cost will give us 0. So it's not a big deal. All right. So, and we want to continue going down that and keep adding. Now, there's a nice little Excel function to do that. So I'm going to go equals, and then let's see, it's vect product. All right, what? Now I forgot. Sum product. There we go. Sorry, as I'm remembering, I don't use Excel as much as I do MATLAB. So, but I should be able to figure this out. Equals sum product. Equals sum product. Okay, and then we pick the 2 arrays to multiply. All right. So I'm going to multiply this array, or this column, by, and then I hit comma, this column. Now, of course, in Excel, I forgot to mention, you always have to do equals if you want to do some type of mathematical. Okay? So here you see there's 0. Now let's just test it. If I put 1 serving, then I should. And then if I put 1 serving of this, add 7, add 4. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay, again, we'll let the computer do it. Oops. All right, I think we're ready to solve. All right, so the first thing for Excel, what I want you to check, and of course, this is on a Mac, so yours could be slightly different on a PC. But I want you to make sure that if you go to Tools and Add-ins, that your solver is checked. right? Because we're going to use the solver add-in. So hopefully you have that. Otherwise, you won't have access to the optimization solver. All right. So once you do that, you see we need to go to data, all right, out of this little table here, and then I'm going to have to click solver. Okay. So here we are. Oh, I see. Let me see if I can delete this because I already played with it a little bit. Okay. So here it is. Here's our solver, and here's our parameters. So what is our objective? Our objective is to either minimize or maximize something, and we're gonna excuse me, we're gonna minimize cost. Okay, so we're gonna minimize that value. All right, and what's our variables? It says by changing variable cell. So our variable is going to be this column here, all the way down to the last one. Okay, so those are our variables. All right, so now we have to add our constraints. So let's add a constraint. Now I'm going to say that we want the number of calories. Okay, so actually what I need to do is I need to cancel, and I need to come up with an equation for the number of calories, total calories in the total food that you've purchased. Okay, so if I say total, oops, let's close this for a second while how can I close it? No, let's delete this. Okay, sorry. So we need to calculate the total nutrient in the food that we bought. All right. So I'm gonna write equals. Okay. So that is equal to, for example, for calories, it's equal to the sum product, again, of this array, the total calories in each food, and then multiply that by the actual number of servings. Okay. All right. So of course, if I do one serving, I should have a total number of calories of 73.8. Looks good. All right. So now I'm going to do that the same. I'm going to pause it for a second so you don't have to sit there here while I do it. And I'm going to do that for all the other nutrients. Okay, we'll continue. So now I filled in, and you can see, for example, let's say vitamin C. If I click over here, we'll see that the vitamin C in each serving is then multiplied by the number of servings, and that gives you, and then summed, and that gives you the total. That gives you the total amount of vitamin C out of your, the amount of, or your meal that you've purchased. Okay, so now let's go back to the solver again. So solver, and again our objective cost is this. Our variables that we are adapting will be the number of servings. Okay, and now we can do the constraints. So we're going to add constraints, and we're going to say that I want these values to be, less than the maximum values. So click over here, the maximum values. Okay, and I'm going to say add, and then I'm going to say the same values. Okay, and this time I want them to be greater than or equal to the min, and I'm going to say OK. So there's our two. So the same, obviously the total nutrients have to be less than the max and greater than the min values. All right, and now as you can see, there's a little checkbox. So that allows me to say that the variables are non-negative. All right, and there's a few different solver methods, and we can just use the LP simplex method. Okay, so let's try it. Let's hit solve. And there you go. Okay, so I want you to see that the cost looks like it was less than $1 to be able to meet all our needs. All right, so you can see actually that we've hit the lower bound on calories. Let's see if we've gotten. I don't see any upper bounds that we've hit. Okay, haven't saturated. And let's see, what's the most servings we had? Looks like 4. Looks like we ate a lot of popcorn and peanut butter and skim milk, tofu, and carrots. Okay, now I want you to just recall that, and now we're going to do that, solve the same problem in MATLAB. All right, so I'll see you shortly.